In this video, you will learn about suspensions. Suspensions and root position chords. A suspension occurs at a chord change, almost always on a beat. The suspension is repaired by a tie or a repeat. It resolves down by step into a chord tone. Here, the B-flat appears as a chord tone in the 5-7 chord. When the chord changes, the B-flat becomes a suspension. It then resolves into the 1 chord. This is like having an ordinary chord progression with one part dragging along late. The suspension must resolve before the next chord change. There are 3 suspensions possible with root position chords. Each replaces a different member of the chord. One suspension replaces the root, which will be in one of the upper parts almost every time. When the suspension resolves, the root will be doubled. The interval between the bass and the suspension will be a ninth plus an octave or 2, and will resolve to an octave or some multiple of an octave. The suspension is known as the 9/8 suspension. Another suspension replaces the third. The numbers here are 4/3. Do not double the third of the major triad when using the suspension. It sounds like a mistake. You can double thirds with minor and diminished triads with this 4/3 suspension, but not augmented triads. A 6/5 suspension replaces the fifth, and the fifth may or may not be doubled. This is a rather ambiguous suspension because the suspension could also be analyzed as a chord. Here, this could be a 6/5 suspension, or 6 chords or 1 chord. Suspensions and first inversion chords. Suspensions can be used with inverted triads. The numbers change because they are intervals over the bass. Here is a 9/8 suspension with inverted chords. The number changes to 7/6. The root may or may not be doubled. This is a 4/3 suspension with a first inversion triad. The numbers are now 9/8. The suspension works fine with a minor or diminished triad. The third may be doubled, one for the bass and one for the resolution of the suspension. Here is a 6/5 suspension with a 1/6 chord. The numbers change to a 4/3 and the fifth may or may not be doubled. Suspensions with second inversion chords. Suspensions with 6/4 chords are limited because a fifth must be doubled. Generally, suspensions work well with cadential 6/4s and not too well with other types. Double suspensions. Double suspensions are typically effective and fairly easy to use. They may be used in any progression with 2 voices moved down by step. Suspensions in the bass. Suspensions can and do occur in the bass. Unfortunately, many bass suspensions look fine and sound terrible. Play and very critically evaluate every bass suspension you write. Be prepared to erase most of them. Numbering bass suspensions is clumsy because the numbers represent all 3 chord tones above the suspension. When the suspension resolves down, the numbers go up. Retardations. A retardation is a suspension which resolves up by step. It is prepared just like a suspension. It tends to break up the rhythmic flow, so is usually used at cadences. It is figured just like a suspension, except the numbers go up instead of down. Suspensions and retardations may be combined, usually at a cadence.
If you liked the video, please hit like. If you would like to see more videos, please subscribe to my channel. You can also leave a comment or a question in the comment section below.